Coming up on Added Time.
You've always got to be willing to defend yourself and go straight into the battle, but there are times you've just got to be a little bit considerate.
They're trying to do something with players that don't fit the system that they're
Square pegs in
comfortable
round
with.
holes.
Yeah.
He called it a massive point, at home.
Or does it show that the team is obviously capable of that and he hasn't been able to get it out of them?
We're going to skip over this. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 1.
Great weekend.
Anyway, moving on to point 4. At a time, good to be back with the boys. Robbie Slater's here with
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank goodness as well.
Yeah.
Great
it's great. Yeah,
we've
fantastic.
been in the last 2 weeks. While
I know, but I've been watching, wanting to be a part of it. One thing that
Are you
worries me,
changing
though,
the subject from Newcastle? Or no?
yeah, we'll get to them. One thing that worries me, though, is if I bring something up that you don't like, we're in
Yeah, it's
proximity.
true. It's true.
A bit like I might feel like João Pedro did when Adama ran at him. Have you seen a player
Yeah. Well, yeah.
fill his pants?
There was a
quicker
moment of
than him?
realisation.
You've always got to be willing to defend yourself and go straight into the battle, but there are times you've just got to be a little bit considerate. That's all.
Wave the white flag. But, no, the studio's great. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there's someone's hand is all over this, and it's remarkable the job that he has done.
Callum Lawrence.
That's it.
That's him.
Well done, bravo.
He's the Michael Carrick of Stan Sport because to fashion something out of... Okay, let's get to Manchester United.
Well, I
straight
did
away.
get a bit of feedback from some people that watched the show, and they said this is better than the couches. So there
Oh,
you go.
okay. All right, good. Well, I like it. I think it's good.
Do you like
It's good to
Michael?
be in proximity.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
Well,
We can eyeball each other. And
Michael Carrick has done an amazing job at Manchester United. a bit
So
like
far,
our
so good.
Show. He's seemed to have unlocked certain players, and even though Benjamin Sesko, who went for megabucks, the transfer fee, as you'd expect for a young player in Europe to go to Manchester United, Foz, he's off the bench at the moment, but he has that wonderful moment in front of the Stretford end. So a person like Michael Carrick and the freedom it looks like he's given some attacking players at Manchester United is going to unlock this kid, and in 12 months' time we'll be looking back saying he's one of the best strikers in Europe. Onside, offside?
Well, I'd say offside because I
VAR.
just think he went a bit too far. That's all. Like, one of the best strikers in Europe. I don't know whether that's going to be the case, but he is definitely going to be much better than what he's been. That's for sure. And I do agree that he is unlocking him, and he will unlock him because look at what happened to Dorgu, look what happened to Fernandes, look what happened to Mbeumo, look what happened to Cunha, and
Just
by the
about
way,
everyone.
look what happened to Amad Diallo. I mean, how good is that kid doing, right?
even
So-
Casemiro.
And Casemiro as well, yeah. And I thought Casemiro was basically finished the way he was
Jamie
playing.
Carragher
so-
said it, didn't he? Come out and he said the player's finished. He's got to leave. He's
Right.
too old. Now
It
he's
certainly
had to
looked that
come
way.
back.
Yeah.
Now he's come back this morning and apologised.
Yeah, right. Well, I was also wrong, right? Because the thing is, he couldn't manage the middle of the park. He didn't have the players around him to be able to do it. There was too open. The system wasn't helping him. And you even question his motivation and the like. But what's clear is that all he's done is just a lot more compactness.
So why did Amorim stick to the system where he refused to play Fernandes on 10, played him on 6, and everything else?
Yeah.
Why was he so inflexible?
Well, only he can say that. But the thing is,
That's a very good point.
yeah. So, well, what you see with a lot of coaches is that they understand one system extremely well. He's had success with that as well. I mean, Conte's a bit like this, Antonio Conte. With his back 3, back 5. I love it. Yeah. Look, I've looked deeply into the game. I believe that this is the optimal way to go. The problem with Amorim is when he comes in, everyone knows that you haven't recruited the players for your system. That's when it's a problem, in my view. So if he was able to recruit over 2 seasons, I've no doubt he would have been reasonably successful with it, or maybe successful. He clearly can coach. But the problem is when they're so dogmatic that they're trying to do something with players that don't fit the system that
Square
they're
pegs in
comfortable
round
with.
holes.
Yeah. And then the trouble I think for them is once they impose that and they have to show complete belief in it, and you guys know this as ex-players, as soon as the coach starts to revert, well, hang on, you told us that we have to commit to, we're losing games and you're fully committed and we will get it right and we have to keep working. As soon as he backs away from it, then like all credibility is gone.
Boz, Manchester United, and building on that Chesko comment about, look at the big smile on your face again,
It is big.
has it cured all the ills that seem to kind of spiral at the end of Ruben's?
Of course it hasn't cured all the ills. The fact is that winning sometimes covers up what is actually going wrong, in behind. But when you've got such turmoil, and when there was such questions being asked, he did. To be fair to Amorim, he tried to tweak it a few times, but evidently not enough. And the other thing is quite evident as well. Obviously, Ruben Amorim, there was some type of block between him and certain players. I wouldn't say all the players, but the majority of players, in terms of them being themselves. And I think you'll find we're not privy to what's going on in the dressing room, but that's the biggest thing that Michael Carrick and his coaching staff seem to have done, is to release those players. You heard Fossey talk about Diallo. All those other names you mentioned. You could actually just cut the conversation down and just say everyone.
Everyone.
Absolutely everyone.
Luke Shaw's a left back, not a left centre back.
And he's shown himself smart with Sesko. But I'm like you.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll become the best striker in Europe.
I think he's potentially is.
Well, but there's nothing wrong with Carrick saying that, because Sesko grows.
Right. Yeah, fantastic,
You know, he goes, my manager believes him.
He was being looked at by every top club in Europe.
No, we all said he has the talent to become one of the best. But you asked in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
You said, by the end, by next year, is he going to be? That's the problem I have. He's an immense talent. When Manchester United got him, we were sitting here saying that's a fantastic signing.
Great signing. And like I said to you, it shines quite clear. I mean, just in your own personal life. If you're not being,
can we not talk about my personal life?
No. But
that's out of bounds.
If you're not being yourself.
Yeah.
All right. What's one of the first things that one of your friends may say to you? Are you okay, Adam? You're not being yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Those players were not themselves. So for whatever reason that was, that's actually changed now. There's still a long way to go. A great win once again. Less possession than the opposition.
Yeah.
They've got a very tough game coming up again at home against Tottenham Hotspurs, and I say that because we're going to get onto that because of the way Tottenham played. I thought their best half of football in that second half under Thomas Frank, and the best half that I can remember for a very long time.
And
Felt
nearly
like
a worst half in the first half.
Yeah.
Felt like it saved his job. Spurs, okay, that's our second onside offside. So, Robbie, I'll come to you first one with this. So, Dominic Solanke scores a questionable goal first. Rodri blew up about it for Manchester City. And then the scorpion kick, which you had to see 3 times to believe what happened, but it was an amazing.
It was an amazing goal.
Spurs fans were apparently going to walk out on 75 minutes of protest.
Yeah.
That kind of changed the narrative for them because obviously that roaring comeback against Manchester City meant it didn't happen. Overall, though, would you say, and it's hard to tell a fan how
I'd say it's still a disaster.
No. But
it's a disaster.
should Spurs fans, onside, offside, should they be more supportive of their team and Thomas Frank? This is tough.
Yeah, it
so
is
that's
tough.
why I went to you.
I'd say that. Look, I'd say onside only because it's just so. There's been so much of it for years and years and years. Whether it's going to change what Frank does, you can understand their frustration, but I mean, the first half, really, the game should have been over.
Sure.
I know at 2-0 you expect City to, it's still to be over, but they could have had 4 by half time. Is it a question that Tottenham were that good in the second half? He tweaked it a bit. He said that in his post-match.
Yep.
What was interesting for me, I watched his post-match and he called it a massive point. At home. I know you play Man City, but still.
Yeah, but that's the way it's been going for them.
It's not a massive point. They still didn't win at home. Like I said, the second half doesn't make up for the first half, and really, to get something, it took a wonder goal.
Yeah, well, he changed it. I mean, that was good. At half-time, it was an absolute disaster, and he was underwater.
He was on the brink.
He's gone. If he's not gone, he's virtually. So he did a good job in the second half. Like we keep saying, the guy can coach, right? So there's a lot of coaches, and this is what I like about Italian football. Brazilian football has this a bit as well, but they probably go a little bit too far. And that is that once you know how to coach, you can coach, but maybe not in this environment.
Exactly.
So what happens is, so you're a very good coach and you're making good decisions. We know that you can survive in this league and do a great job with a lesser group of players. But in this situation is a better group of players, much higher expectation.
We need more.
And a different expectation of football, and you have not demonstrated that you can step to this level with this club.
Because he doesn't fit into that philosophy of what that club
different
wants.
Group of players, different expectations of fans, different expectation of the club. At his former club, you're not expected to win every game. You're not expected to play any decent type of football. It's just a simple fact.
Where's Brentford at the moment?
You're expected to survive.
Yeah. Brentford in 7th.
I know, they're having an extraordinary season, but the goal for the Brentfords of this world, is to be at the end of the year still in the Premier League.
Exactly.
There are teams that fight for
Brentford, I think
competitions.
I think Brentford have established
Brentford
it.
established it. I think their goal
but
is
that's
to get
first
to
number
European
one.
football.
But the first point is to stay.
Is they want to stay.
That's right.
Survival.
And then the second is to try and get into Europe or get something
Or
or
do
do
what
something in a
Palace
cup
did
or
last
whatever.
season and win
That's
a
right.
cup, have a good cup run.
I think that is the
Give their fans some joy with big win over United
And
City or
Spurs
Arsenal.
is winning something, maybe a cup, and then finishing Champions League spots. Is that fair on Spurs? And it feels like they're not going to get that this season.
Well, you have to say yes, that's understandable. But in terms of the original question, like you said, you can't, again, coming back to asking players to be something that they're not, it's exactly the same with fans. The fans are what they are.
Yeah.
That's what you sign up for. You know that. He would have seen what occurred last season in terms of Ange and what's occurred in seasons before. So, but that second half was the best half of football. I've seen for a very long time from Spurs, but especially under Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
And if they can play like that, I'll tell you what, we're going to talk about it later on in the Champions League.
Because he tweaked it.
They're going to.
he did. He brought.
He
does
brought.
that show-
Wait. He brought Pape Sarr on for Romero. But coming back to what I said, we're going to talk about it later. The Champions League, they were going to give any team problems. Okay, if they played like they did in the second half, because at one stage, really, they should have went on to win it. They were outstanding.
Yeah, but Bozza, does that show that Thomas Frank, alluding to what Foz saying, does that now prove that second half that he can now coach like that at a club like this?
Well,
and change a game?
I
question.
think it does. I think you have to say it does. It's shown him.
On one half.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I
no,
ask
it's
you a
shown
question?
himself.
Can I ask you-
Yeah, but he's shown himself.
Can I add a
and he's
question to
shown-
that?
Yeah,
Before
wait.
you answer?
Okay.
Or does it show that the team is obviously capable of that and he hasn't been able to get it out of them enough this season?
Yeah, both.
So
But
which
both,
side?
Both, but I think the best thing it shows is to himself, to the fans, and to the players that he can do it.
Yeah.
That he can do it. That's all. That's
Adam, would you like to say something?
That's the
Yeah, but how many games
He's
have we
waiting for
into the season?
Newcastle.
And he's demonstrating that.
I'm always,
Yeah,
I'm
24
always
games.
interested to see what teams and coaches come up with when they're backed into a corner. And some capitulate, and obviously there's a bit about Thomas Frank and there's a bit about Spurs.
Especially-
By the way,
Especially-
so I said they've been really hard on him. What's your thoughts on
been
the
hard?
onside, offside with Thomas Frank?
Fans can absolutely think what they want.
Do what they want,
100%.
They're the ones
100%.
that are, and Spurs in particular, with
Yep.
their season ticket prices, I reckon they've got a right
Yeah,
to
100%.
act how they want,
You can't.
when they
You
want.
can't ask 60,000
Actually, Arsenal
people.
fans for the first time in their history were quite happy with Tottenham.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you can't
Had a
ask
great
60,000
weekend, the
people
Gunners.
to cheer in a certain way. Come on.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
Talk about encroachment.
No, they should have very high standards. The only trouble we keep saying with Spurs is there's a disconnect because the fans want something and the club doesn't know what it wants. It's not giving them what they want. They want good football and success.
They can't blame Levy anymore.
Yeah, so
He's
they're
got-
just all over the place, and so the fans, I think, are kind of, they have no option but to protest.
Next on the rundown, onside, offside, is we're going to skip over this. Liverpool 4, Newcastle 1.
Great weekend. for
Anyway,
Sunderland
moving on to
too.
point 4. These guys have had a fair say this year about Florian Wirtz and, to a lesser extent, Hugo Ekitike.
Ekitike's been excellent.
But he's been excellent at Eintracht Frankfurt. We saw that coming. Wirtz as well at Bayer Leverkusen. We
No,
looked
but
in wonderment at what
Ekitike's
he did.
been the best signing for Liverpool by far.
I'm going to use your line here. Hang on a minute.
Ekitike.
I'll go to Robbie first up, Liverpool man. Wirtz and Ekitike, onside, offside, have the makings of a Torres-Gerrard combo in the
Onside.
final third.
Onside. I looked at it and I looked at this last night in depth, and at the moment they're the leading partnership in the league. 7 contributions with each other, so that's the leading one in the Premier League. Wirtz had a difficult start. Not really the way he was playing, but because you're expecting assists, you're expecting goal. Now he's looking every part the player that they signed. I'm not going to say they thought they signed because they knew they were signing a gem. You only have to look through the history of what he did at Leverkusen and the way he operates and gets into spaces in between lines, and his feet move that quick. Unbelievable. And he's just got this thing with Ekitike. It's kind of special. And I was interested in Ekitike's comments. He said he is such a great player to play with. He said he loves playing with him because he said, I can make any kind of run, and he said any kind of run, and he will find me.
Yeah, he's a great player.
Yes.
Because what he can also do is play around corners a lot.
Yeah.
So most players have to get the ball, take a touch, see forward, and then they try and play a striker. Whereas he's one of those top level players where wherever he is, he's always looking around there,
always
right?
is.
And so that's the best for a striker because the defender's not ready. So, midfielders who can flick balls around corners, which he does.
So one
for
touch
fun.
instead of 2 touch proves all the difference.
So one touch, particularly in tight spaces, he's able to already see people. So his vision as to where people are, and he can flick the ball over the top. He understands the run. He understands the angles. So all of the small-sided stuff, he's just a master.
But he can, with short passes, he scans that quick.
Yeah, he knows.
You know, he knows what's behind.
He already knows
where everyone else. But normally players, and very good players, do that with a longer pass.
Yeah.
So it's 10, 15 minutes. He can do a 5-metre pass, 3-metre pass.
Yeah. Even in tight
areas, he's comfortable. And he's a player like that is great to play with, Bosnich, because him, you know, you can give him the ball anywhere.
Yeah, and he's going to give it to your right foot. He's going to give you the
under
correct
pressure.
ball.
Yep. It's a great player.
So, Bosnich, are you surprised in any way about
He wants to talk about Newcastle.
No, I'll get to that. Unfortunately, he's
great.
waiting.
Great week for Sunderland. Great
he
win
demanded
against
it.
Burnley.
For Sunderland.
Last one on Flying Verts. Are you surprised it's taking him this long?
No.
Or you understand it's taking him this long?
Completely understand, because
Look the part.
there's not a league in the world that has the physical output and the intensity that the Premier League have. Ekitike summed it up in the first game in the post-match interview after Bournemouth. When he came on, and the first words were to the commentators, "You don't lie, huh?" And they're like, "What?" He said, "You don't lie how physically intense it is."
And quick it
so
is.
it was always going to take time, plus the fact that they've been, for how long, Mo Salah, you know, say even with Klopp, 10 years?
Yeah.
They played in a certain way which really was built around Mo Salah.
And fair enough.
Okay, and then they had to change that
Quite
around.
successful.
They had to change that around with another 4 other signings. So it was always going to take time. That's why I was surprised at the amount of signings that he made. Still a long way to go. They've got a massive test coming up this weekend, which we'll talk about against Manchester City.
Big game.
And it's a better way as well. Newcastle, no disrespect, and I mean this seriously now, it started off really well, as you know. Took
Thanks,
the lead.
Scoop.
But what I'm saying to you is, in terms of the test, I think that it's Florian Wirtz, especially playing against the Guardiola side, who will design a plan to make sure that they nullify his strengths as much as they possibly can, will be a far bigger test than Newcastle will be.
Question to you.
Yes.
Big Newcastle fan, so you gave me the chance as a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
So with everything that's been happening in the Premier League this season, you know, your Liverpool slot, you've got Thomas Frank, you've got Man United, Amarim. Has Eddie Howe gone underneath the radar a little bit? When you look at the table and you look at their results this year, it hasn't been fantastic.
I'll preface this with I'll start with the answer, and then I'll ask you guys another question off the back of it. But you look at Newcastle, and they are heavily restricted by PSR because Newcastle, don't have the commercial revenue coming in of the big clubs.
Yeah.
We don't have the stadium deal that Tottenham have and all that money coming in. We don't have, you know, a Manchester United commercially. So we can't just snap our fingers in the transfer window and go, let's go and buy $140 million.
Not yet.
At the moment. But we were able to do a few things with the Isak sale in the summer. However, when you like that and you're confined to little wiggle room in the transfer market, and you need to regenerate the squad, you need to broaden the ability in the squad, because you've got Champions League, which Newcastle have, and they struggled last time with it. They've done okay in the Champions League this time, but you can't make mistakes. Or when I say mistakes, or players that don't hit the ground running straight away. And I'd argue that Malik Thiaw and also Nick Voltemata have been good.
They've been very good.
But the others that they spent heavily on, Visser, Ramsey, not so much. You can't have 2 out of 4. Newcastle needed 4 out of 4 to fight on all fronts, and it hasn't quite worked out. But there has been things raised in the last week with Newcastle fans looking at Newcastle, how we play, and go, we're heavily reliant on Joel Linton and Bruno. They weren't there on the weekend. How does this team evolve? And is Eddie Howe the guy to evolve this team? So I'll go to you first, Boz. You've got a pretty firm opinion. I'll throw it to the floor.
I told you yesterday.
Onside, offside, Newcastle need to move on from Eddie Howe.
Offside. He's done a fantastic job, Adam. And you've been in the Champions League 2 out of the last 3 seasons. You won your first major trophy in 56 years, if you want to count the Inner Cities Fairs Cup as a major trophy, if not the first time in 70 years. He's shown improvement. 2 seasons ago, when he had the Champions League football as well as Premier League football, they fell off a cliff. Okay? This time round, not so much. They're still there and thereabouts. It's going to be hard for them now as it goes on to get a Champions League place, but they're there and thereabouts. They will, in my opinion, Karabag, I think they've got Karabag in the knockout round of the Champions League. They'll get to the round of 16 of that.
Yep.
So I think you've got to give him more time. He's done a very good job. He's made you into a team that's regularly challenging for Europe. They're in the semi-finals, but I think they'll get beat, unfortunately, of the League Cup, which they won last season. So definitely offside. He should stay and be given the opportunity to evolve this team himself.
Eddie Howe, thoughts?
I think he's the most talented English coach for a very, very long time. No English coach has won the Premier League. Is that still correct?
Correct.
I think he's the only one around in recent years and still now who actually has the ability to win it. And you've just explained the lack of transfer. I mean, when Guardiola is an unbelievable coach, but when he needs players, they just go buy players. Look at the size of the squad that the Gunners have at the moment. I mean, how many players on the Gunners bench would start for Newcastle?
Did you see what come off the bench just quietly? Do you see what they brought off the bench against Leeds?
It's unbelievable.
Jesus.
They've got 2 11s.
Martinelli, Odegaard.
They've got 2 11s that could be in the top 5. Right? They've got 1 11 that is probably going to win. They've got another that would still be in Champions League football. Yeah. And this guy is staying in the Champions League, competing at a very high level in the top echelon of the... I think he's an outstanding coach. I think for Newcastle, you'd be absolutely crazy to get rid of him. Because the thing is, even when he was at Bournemouth, right? Was it Bournemouth?
Yes.
And that football there, watching years ago, as soon as I saw it, I said, okay, who's this coach?
Talented English coach.
That was very,
and
very
there's not
good
many
football.
of them.
So you know that he knows it. He understands football. He can sort out a good possession system. That means he understands exactly what Guardiola's doing. He can create the exercises and the methodology to do it. For whatever reason, he's not deciding to do that, and I think it's probably about the type of player that you can or cannot recruit, the amount of money that you can or cannot, you cannot spend.
No, you're
so
right.
the first thing, you're saying can someone actually evolve and create different styles of football? He absolutely can. He has already done it. You've seen it. So that's not a question.
It's an amazing stat when the Premier League's been around how long now?
1992.
Yeah, so not one English manager has won it. 11 managers have won the Premier League, and not one Englishman. It's incredible, isn't it?
Absolutely. Onside, offside, the last one, Foz to you. Caitlin Ford, Steph Catley, Kyra Cooney Cross became Australia's first ever female world champions. There was a competition held across the weekend. It was kind of, I won't say cobbled together, that's disrespectful, but it was changed, it was moved to the Gunners' home ground. But fantastic world champions, club world champions with Arsenal. Those 3. Mary Fowler returned on the weekend. Foz.
Big news.
So
big news.
Great
we're
news.
a month basically away from the Women's Asian Cup. Onside, offside. This has given a indeterminable boost to our chances of lifting a trophy, which hasn't happened for a very long time for the Matildas.
Yes, Mary coming back has given a huge boost. The other players are still fit. Kyra Cooney Cross has come back from an injury, but she's ready anyway. So I think Mary being back has given a big boost. The others are already there anyway, and they're playing well. The fact that they won this tournament is just wonderful for Australian football. It just goes to show at the level that our women are playing at now. And I always say that, like you guys in the 90s when we had you guys EPL winning EPLs and you had Harry.
They're
the opposite.
It's flipped.
Yeah,
it's flipped.
That's right. And so they're winning this tournament. Yes, the tournament was not particularly well put together. It was
Still
very
gotta win
typical of women's football in that they were supposed to be in the US. They were supposed to do similar to a men's tournament. They abandoned that. Arsenal actually didn't want to go because they're in the middle of the season. Corinthians, the great Brazilian club, amazing Brazilian club. They're in pre-season, as was Gotham. There was only 6 clubs involved, and blah 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 blah. Right? So they did it in London, essentially for the Gunners, for Arsenal, who are the Champions League winners. And then they've put off until I think 28, 2 more years to then do a serious tournament. But they still had to go there and win it. They're in the final. They led. Corinthians kept coming back, and then Caitlin Ford, an Aussie, scores the winner for the inaugural Champions Cup, I think, but basically Women's Club World Cup. So we've got 3 women who are world club champions. I mean, Australia
just like what Chelsea did.
That.
Chelsea did in the men's. It's first ever.
Yeah, so for
you
Australia,
can't take that away.
So let me ask you a question then. So Caitlin Ford now has. These guys won the Champions League. They're the current champs. She's now won this semi-final of a World Cup, which of course no male has ever done, and won titles with Arsenal in the Women's Super League. So is she now our most decorated player?
Across men's and women's? Well, there'd only be one that I would say that's way ahead probably and it'll be difficult to be beaten, is Craig Johnston. 5 Premier League titles, 2 Champions League, but definitely she's right up there.
Yeah, that's right.
I agree with you.
Herself, Ellie Carpenter's in the conversation because she's won some Champions Leagues with,
with
Leon.
And it's a great point you bring up about a month from the Asian Cup. It's going to be massive in this country.
Huge.
And so the focus now on all these girls, Mary Fowler in particular, is staying fit, is staying away from, touch wood.
Yes.
And because it will be a big tournament in this country.
Huge.
Best chance for them to win a trophy, with all due respect to the World Cup, which is happening in Brazil next year. But this Asian Cup is a mammoth chance, and we did it with the men in 2015.
Yeah, it's huge.
The girls have done it before.
Home advantage.
Now it feels like a long time ago.
Yes.
All Australian national teams always perform well at home because our crowds are so positive towards the teams. We've never been a country that gets on the back of teams ever.
Australian teams are very
Always
hard.
extremely
Even in the black hole of 32 years not qualifying for a World Cup, I don't think we were ever beaten. At home.
No, I agree.
It was always
Argentina
away.
1-1 and then Iran here 2-2. At home, absolutely brilliant.
New Zealand beat us in '81 at the SCG.
That's right. Yeah, there's not many though.
No,
there's not many.
No, the record at home is very good.
Yeah.
And also, they've also won the Asian Cup, the women, of course. They're former Asian champions already. So, and they're one of the top 2, maybe 3 teams in Asia already, and they're at home. So all we needed...
With some of the very top players in the world.
So all we needed was them to be fit and in form. Montemuro could have had more time with them, definitely, but he's had enough time just to put in some group understanding about what they're trying to achieve. He's going to need them, like all tournaments, as you know, to improve through the tournament.
Yeah.
Right. So each game, learning lessons, doing better. And as you know, when you start a tournament, the team that finishes it is very rarely the one that starts it. So he's going to need to demonstrate that in-tournament coaching ability to improve every game. I think he's one of the world's best coaches in women's football.
Yeah.
Everything looks fantastic for these guys to be able to take it at home, which will be immense.
Still to come on Added Time.
Is that exactly what Liverpool need?
Right now, no.
Okay.
And what happened? Tell the story.
Also, let me talk.
Go.
So,
don't not reference the story of match day because I'll say that's anti-goalkeeper.
No, we're going to...
because this country has ripped itself apart for the last 5 or 6 years. It's me. I knew, and I am still here.
Yeah, and it's not the players.
Which, on new estimates from the James Webb Telescope, is about 46.8 billion years wide.
Deadline day.
Yes.
Happened earlier
For
this
who?
week.
Yeah.
For
Tonight.
players in Europe, thankfully. Not that dramatic, Robert.
You never know, son. I've been on deadline day for quite some time.
In
fact, I had someone very high up in the game that looked at me and when Fox Sports lost the rights to the A-League, and he rang me up and he said, Robbie, mind you, I was 55 years old, and he said, I think you need to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
And I said, what am I going to do?
That's what?
Yeah.
I don't, exactly.
Carpentry. You can build sets. Jurgen Strand-Larsen moved from Wolves to Palace.
Understandable.
Villa had a really good one.
Villa did,
Filled holes where they need to fill holes.
Yeah.
Abraham, Douglas Luiz coming back as well. The one that popped out to me was one that's not going to happen for 6 months. He won't be a Liverpool player for another 6 months.
Young French player.
He's gone back to Rennes. But Jeremy Jacquet, hopefully I've pronounced that correctly, Robbie.
You did that very well.
£52 million for a 20-year-old. It just displays the market and the benefits
played
of
for
developing
the full national team yet, but he will.
Yeah.
Is that exactly what Liverpool need? Obviously, they chased Mark Gay.
Well,
didn't get him.
Right now, no. If you wanted to, Mark Gay was the one for them to get right now if they wanted to have any chance. I think they that 9 defeats out of 12 games around the October time has sort of done their hopes really for a title seriously.
Yes. Yep.
But right here, right now, I would say no. He's one for the future. Definitely 20 years of age. With Stade Rennes, Rob, a good French side.
Yeah.
He was on loan last season, and then with Clermont Foot. And is by all accounts is an exceptional young talent.
Yeah, great
but
young player.
Coming back to what we said with Wirtz at the beginning as well, will take him time to adjust. But hopefully, and that sort of spells Canate. We know has been linked with Barcelona. We know that Van Dijk has signed a new contract, but he hasn't been at his very best. But hopefully that gives them to the competition and also the ability to rest, because Van Dijk's played in pretty much every minute of every game. But it's again, it's sort of going forward and looking towards obviously what Liverpool want to be and are going to be. But for right here, right now, I thought Mark Gay would have been a better signing to get right away for them.
That's a good point. Yeah.
What pops into your head, Foz, when you see a 20-year-old going for £52 million?
Yeah, I read it and thought, what does that mean for Australia? If so, what are the differences between the two countries? obviously there's quite some disparity, but what Australian football needs to ask is, okay, why are these kids going for this sort of money, and how is it that we're going to breach that gap? You know, and what do we need to do? What do we need to do in our local league? What do we need to do in our development? Where are the gaps? Like, why don't we have players of that quality? That's what we should be asking, because the future of Australian football unquestionably is
I think we
to
know,
be participating in this.
You're right, Rob, but I think we know what to do. But executing, I remember going to a restaurant when you gave a presentation of what could be for a site in Western Sydney. It was basically a Clairefontaine, which Robbie, when he was in France, witnessed everything that went on there. Because France, remember, after their golden generation of Platini, Gires, Tigana, the list goes on, they had a disaster, right, Rob?
Around World Cups,
they missed it. And they got together, very similar, if not the same. And this is about, when was that presentation? Probably 15 years ago?
That would have been.
It was with the late Les Murray, I reckon.
Probably 20 years.
All right, okay. And there, 20 years ago. And you had exactly the same bright idea.
You had the right vision.
He said it all along, because he saw it. And since that Clairefontaine, let's go through France's record, right? They won it in 98.
Most successful country.
Right? Finalists in 2006. They won it in 2018.
Won the Euros in between.
Won the Euros in between. Finalists in 2022.
Most players across the top 5 leagues.
Every second player you see, like, you know, if
in the Champions League, always
100%.
the top or second.
So it's there. But who's going to have the will? And more importantly, they'll turn around and say, understandably so, but I believe will comes before finance. If you have the will and the vision, you know, it's quite simple. You make centres of excellence. Whether you make them a little bit less, and in each capital city, we have got a massive continent here in Australia, but you do that. Now, finance for me, okay, as long as we've got the will to do it, we'll go and get the finance. But there's enough experience here to know to put that into place. Why do we put that into place? Because we're building the next generation. We're going to do what countries used to do to the Australian Institute of Sport. Hang on, to the Australian Institute of Sport. They would come down, not only for football, right? They would come down for all sports. And eventually they would get some of our best trainers.
That's right.
All right, and now look at the other countries how they've closed the gap in a whole lot of sports. And eventually you'll have teams doing well in the youth championships, the World Youth Championships. You flagged that before the show.
That's key.
But then for me, the big key is, because as well, you can buy potential, but the other thing is to buy, right, how they do in the World Cups. Okay, and that's got to be the key, because that's a massive shot.
But the data says you can't. So in other words, in order to win a World Cup, you almost have to have won a youth World Cup.
Statistically,
it's obvious, right?
Because going back to what you were saying, he made that presentation 15 years ago.
Probably 20 years
even
ago.
more.
You remember
Do you know what? I've never...
Probably even more.
Remember in 05 when we bought Amajake? We bought the French TD over.
That's right.
But you remember the presentation I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember.
You remember the presentation I'm talking about? So, like, that should have happened.
The Socceroos...
If you said that day, if somebody said to you that day, well, that's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
If you said that day that this should happen in 5 years, I would have thought, okay, that's a pretty good goal. How many times have I spoken to you about the people in France who were brought together? Arsene Wenger, the late Gerard Houllier, Amy Jacquet, Amaros, Gires, all brought together.
Tigana.
Michel Platini, Jean Tigana.
Okay.
And what happened? Tell the story.
Let me talk.
Go.
So, it's a shit fight, this country. Has been for so long. 15 years ago he said it. I've been saying it for 2 decades. For God's sake, what have we done? Over 100 years we celebrated last year of Australian football. We don't have a home. There is no home.
No.
You just talked about France had this revolution. You're right, I was there, I was playing for Lens. And what did they do? They brought in all the greats, Emi Jacquet at the very top, and ex-players. Where do our greatest ex-players live? They live in Europe, because we don't want them here. The trouble with development in this country is every country in the world, for quite some time now, have gone where we are under 17s, under 20s, under 23s. Now, in Southeast Asia, I researched it, they have 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s, 19s, 20s, 21s, 22s, 23s. They've been doing that in Europe, all those age groups, for about 5 or 6 years. Now Southeast Asia are doing it. What do you think they're going to do? I spoke to Ronnie Smith, one of the gurus of the ancient football. I said, what's going on here? He said, they've already passed us. They've passed us on that level. So this is what Graham Arnold and other coaches talk of, the 17s to the 20s to the 23s is the black hole. This is where we lose players. So when you finish at Joey's, Fozzie, Bozza, Adam, and you've been successful, okay? So, all right, what do they do now? Where do they play? In the other countries, they go to the under-18s national team and play in Asia, ASEAN Cups, AFC Championships. What do our young players do? They don't go straight into the 20s. They've got to now bridge 1 to 3 years to possibly be ready for the 20s.
So just on and.
So why? That's what we need to do. Can I tell you how far away we're doing it? It'd be quicker to get to the other side of the universe, which on new estimates from the James Webb Telescope is about 46.8 billion years wide. And travelling at the speed of light, that's how long it takes you to get there. That's how far away. Because this country has ripped itself apart for the last 5 or 6 years, and it continues to do so. They don't go together. What he says, what you say, should be heard in the highest echelons of Australian football, but guess what? It's not.
No one's
and
listening.
all the other greats about them, Schwartzes, Neils, Kills, Vidukas, Moores, they're not here. Cahill runs Qatari football.
Yeah, that's true.
Why is he not running Australian football? Craig Johnson's lived here for 20 years. No one wants to know him.
No.
Oh, but we all know better.
Yeah, it's true.
We all know better.
All right.
He did it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I know,
Well,
that's
He had the vision.
That's why I brought it up.
I just want to wrap it all up, this segment. We started talking about deadline day.
Right, did we? It was deadline day.
Jeremy Jacquet is waking up in France today after going over to Liverpool to sign for Liverpool, not knowing that he has become the starting point of a 15-minute conversation which ended up mentioning, what was it? The other side of the universe.
46 billion, yeah. James Webb
I'm
Telescope.
impressed that you know that.
Well, I do. Just Google it.
So, Jeremy, we salute you and thank you for letting us get into all of that.
Very passionate. I like it.
Great. Yeah,
Crystal balls.
Yes.
So, a throw forward to some Champions League football with reference to what we saw on match day 8.
Come on, we got
Crazy.
it. Don't not reference the story of match day 8 because I'll say that's anti-goalkeeper.
No, we're going to intertwine it.
Anti-goalkeeper.
The knockout round playoffs.
Yeah.
We're all referencing the fact that Real Madrid went to Benfica and that's what happened.
And now they're playing.
Then they're playing each other in the
Well, that's
playoffs.
what we said that.
You got to love football.
But
Did
we
Jose
said
come
that.
up with another miracle?
No, we said that because 9th or 10th was going to play 23rd or 24th.
Is there
So
going to be
9th
another
was-
miracle though for Jose Mourinho?
Oh, you know what? I wouldn't put it past him.
you can't.
I wouldn't put it past him
How
at all.
good was
Because
that?
if
Yeah,
there's
it was
ever a
amazing.
time to meet Real Madrid, which is very rarely, it is always the one when there's a transition between a coach and then there's a caretaker, Albiolo, that we know, and then they're still tracking okay. You said at 1 point behind Barcelona in the league. But they wouldn't have been happy to not be in that top 8 because you don't need the extra games at this moment in time.
Oh, of course.
And if anyone can, Jose can.
Exactly.
Mate, what a story. And you look at his record, and he's just added another, how would you say,
Layer.
and just impossible what happened. And when you saw him, the look on his face, it was like, it's me. You know,
that's
I
right.
knew,
Exactly.
and I am
Brilliant.
still here.
Yeah, and it's not the players.
Speaking about the play, we've got to mention him, the goalkeeper, Anatoly Trubin.
Yeah.
Anatoly Trubin. Don't forget that name. That was one of the best headers I've
Goes
seen.
down.
Well, they were
was
yelling
the
at
goal.
him, yelling at him to go up for the corner. He's going, we're leading 3-2. What the hell am I doing that for?
You noticed, He put 2 substitutes on, thinking that's enough, and then the coach said, no, we need one more. I said, get up.
So that's
That
part
was
of the playoff
unbelievable.
round. Also, Monaco, PSG, and all
Yeah,
French.
well, that's like
professional.
last.
All France,
Remember Paris last year had Brest, I think it was,
That's
when they
right,
beat
yeah,
about
yeah,
10
yeah.
over 2 legs. So
Yeah,
that-
Monaco a
Monaco
little
was
better than
season.
Stade Brestois.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Karabakh, Newcastle.
Yeah,
and
Karabakh, Newcastle.
Our favourites,
Liverpool
Bodo
smashed
Glimt.
them.
Yeah.
Glimpse.
Against
Oh,
Inter
I
Milan.
give them a chance against Inter Milan.
Well, you have to because
Oh, you have to.
we
No, I agree,
saw,
have
we
to.
already followed them because we follow Ange because he's our Aussie superstar coach, and they played Bodo Glimt
That's right.
in
In
the semi-final, and it wasn't easy.
They did well. Second half, Bodo were good.
Yeah, and
in
you
fact,
know,
they changed and they played more or less counter-attack football.
That's
Spurs
right.
against them
No,
because
we-
this is a very good football team.
from Norwegian football, it's not expected, but you know, from a Europa semi-final and now doing this sort of stuff in the Champions, it's a great story. It's a great story
the
for
coach
football.
is still there.
Nutsford. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Was the last 2 seasons they've been brilliant.
Three.
Listen,
Three.
he's
Remember when they
great.
beat Rome?
Fozzie.
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Fozzie,
They
Yeah.
smashed. You remember when they smashed Mourinho?
Jose
at home?
Mourinho at
But
home.
he's going to Spurs
Yeah.
next year. You
And he
know
said it
that.
was the pitch, but that's what happened. They put 6 past them, and then we went,
That's right.
hang on a minute, we didn't see the game, we're doing other games, and we
100%.
said, we better have a look at
Yeah.
this team.
look
Let's
at
have a
them.
look, right? Mate, they are a very, very, very good football team.
Yeah.
And well coached.
Yeah. So
No, brilliantly coached.
And, you know,
Brilliantly coached.
Borussia Dortmund,
And technically
Atalanta.
strong.
Yeah,
They're like
that's
a
another
really
good
good
game.
player.
We just spoke Galatasaray, Juventus. That'll be an excellent encounter. You spoke about Monaco. Club Brugge, special word for them. They had a great win in that last leg as well against Atletico Madrid.
Very, very famous club for Aussies.
Olympiacos versus Leverkusen. Yeah, some really good games, yeah.
Who? Paolo,
Frank
Farina.
Farina.
Matty Ryan.
Yeah, Matty Ryan.
Is it Vukovic?
Yep.
Yeah, Danny
Brugge,
Vukovic
yeah.
as well.
Paul Ocon.
Oh, he
at
was
the
in
time
Paolo,
when
yeah.
he was in Club Brugge,
Yeah.
they likened him to the new Franz Beckenbauer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he
That's
was
how
player
good
of the
his
season
Yeah.
and foreign player of the season.
Unbelievable.
And was Frankie Farina there? Top
Yes.
scorer.
Yeah.
Farina's top.
And then he went to
in the
Bari.
Jupiler League, which Bosnia follows very
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Fantastic history.
yeah.
Gentlemen, we're looking forward to that. Champions League, Premier League this weekend. And good luck spotting whatever you're spotting in your telescopes.
Yeah.
Just to let you
No
know,
comment. I'm letting it go. I'm letting
See you,
it
boys.
go.
in the Jupiler League, Club Brugge are coming third.
This has been another Stan Sport production.